they're doing. This is the rubber meets the road section, and we're really fortunate to have somebody here who's been in the thick of things, and he can tell us what he wishes he'd known before he got started. And Bob Frazier is the Director of Technology for Houston Electric at CenterPoint Energy. He's got more than 34 years of IT experience, a lot of time spent on utility customer systems, and for the last 4 years he led the AMI, the Advanced Metering Infrastructure, and the Smart Grid initiatives. And now he's spearheading what they call the Intelligent Distribution Grid Management effort. So Bob, thank you very much for joining us, and please take it away.
Just a little bit background. I want to say good morning or afternoon, depending upon your location, to those on the call. I am Director of Technology for the Houston Electric and kind of work on the front edge of all of these. For the last 20 years, previous 20 years, I was the implementer and worked in the IT area or the data center or other areas of IT management, and then moved into the business 4 years ago to kind of take spearhead projects and take them up to the point where we could say, yes, this is the direction we do want to go, and generally turn those over to an IT organization, or in the case of AMS, to our AMS team to actually do the implementation while I continue to work on other future pilots and direction. The advantage I have is I tend to see things early on. The disadvantage is I'm that pioneer with arrows in the front and bullets in the back. CenterPoint, just a little bit of background. I'm not going to read this to you, but is a big organization, operates in these states that you see here. We consider ourselves an energy delivery company. The blue that you see on this slide is the areas where we have gas distribution all the way to the customer in a kind of normal vertical integrated utility. The white lines that you see on there are pipelines owned by CenterPoint, where we transport gas or liquids in our pipelines. We have an advantage of running east, west, in the middle, and we have a pretty good presence in some of the new shale areas. In the gas distribution, our largest area is Minneapolis and Minnesota, which is, I think the high today was 0 or thereabouts, so we're selling lots of gas up there. And that little red that you see down at the bottom, that's the electric piece. The electric is the Houston metropolitan area. Houston is the 4th largest city, and the metropolitan area is the 6th largest. It has been growing on a consistent basis. There are prognosis that the Houston to Dallas-Fort Worth to San Antonio triangle there will be one of the most rapid growth areas in the United States. The Houston Electric, Houston was a small, sleepy town. Before air conditioning, it was very hot and muggy. If you've ever been here, July, August, first half of September, air conditioning changed that. Air conditioning uses a lot of electricity, and that is what we deliver. It's the most air-conditioned city in the world, I'm told. You see our distribution. We have the advantage of being relatively compact in area, even though we have this large customer base, and we do have a few rural areas, but generally we have a reasonably compact area. When we got started with it, and you'll hear me call it an AMS, or Advanced Metering Systems, that's because the Texas PUC, when they originally wrote the rules around this, wanted something unique, and so in Texas, we often refer to AMI as AMS. And the whole intent there is, as these rules were coming along and getting started, we started clear back in 2006 with a pilot. We chose IBM as our strategic alliance. I don't use the word partner because the lawyers don't like it, but we have a tight strategic alliance with IBM as we develop this. We work together closely with a few other vendors to, in fact, move forward, experiment with our strategic alliance. There was a lot of joint learning and bumps in the road that as we move forward, they have incorporated, the vendors have incorporated into their products and made a better solution for not only us, but for the whole world as they sell future versions. Our relationship continues. IBM stepped in and is implementation partner once we did get approval. We went through the filing, we went through the settlement process, and moved a lot of words back and forth between us and the state state PUC as we were trying to determine what's the best for the society in the area. what makes it even better is then we turned around and wrote up a DOE proposal, and we're fortunate recipients of a DOE grant that helped us move even further along. Down at the bottom, you see some of these things that we have in place. Some of them we're still working on, and I have a detailed write-up on one of the questions we received before the seminar that lists about 22 different functionalities that we're doing already and another 20 that we're working on that we hope to do as we move downstream. This is, you're adding technology out in the field that enables you to do things that you've never thought of doing before. To talk a little bit about Texas, and I'll do this briefly, but Texas is probably the most deregulated, not probably, is the most deregulated electric market in the United States. It works independently around ERCOT. ERCOT stands for the Electric Reliability Council of Texas. It serves as the ISO. The TDSP is what CenterPoint is. There's 4 major wires companies. We're the regulated piece of the electric market, and if you move to Houston, you can look up on the website or go into the phone book and buy your electricity as a residential consumer from at least 50 different firms, and there's probably 125 plans from those 50 different firms that you could do. It's not just a matter of calling the local utility and say, I want to start electricity next Tuesday. Then what happens is those retail electric providers make contracts with a generator to meet what they're expecting their demand to be. They do this through a qualified scheduling agency entity, and that, in fact, is they schedule 100 megawatts for a given day. Then when the usage comes in and they do the settle up, they find out that a particular rep's customer used 110 megawatts, then they forces them into buying 10 megawatts from the spot market. The direct relationship with the customer is through the retail electric provider, although most reps choose to defer to the wires company, the TDSP, when it comes to an outage. It's when your electricity is out, it's not a very good opportunity for upselling products and services. And it's a lot of headache, and the calls tend to come in the afternoons and evenings, so it's not a great time, and they just send all those calls directly to us. The flow of the electricity comes from the generator through the wires right to the customer's meter. We read the meter, and then we provide a read per month to every retail electric provider. And now we're providing intervals daily, including a daily register read, to a central repository that I'll talk about in a second. So the electric market in Texas is a multi-part component. When we got to a point in the 2005-2006, we realized that we had made incremental improvements. We had improved SAIDI, CAIDI. We had made some improvements in our grid management, our inventory management, but we were looking for transformation. How do we take the major step? Interestingly, is the advanced metering in the case of Texas, and Texas is a very big user of electricity, was driven by the Texas legislature. They mandated through legislation that the Texas Public Utility Commission think through and develop a plan for implementing advanced metering to the benefit of society in a set period of time. Texas had already deregulated in January of 2002, so this was, from the legislator's perspective, the next big step, and that timed with our looking at how do we transform the business seemed to make sense. So with that, we took the step and started on a pilot long before there were any rules out from the commission and looked at a number of different results, and we truly made this a pilot, working very hard on a shoestring to virtually zero budget of trying different technologies, working through the challenges of this and figuring out what made the most sense. And then we worked with staff committee members at the PUC to see that we wrote rules of what advanced metering should and should not include to the benefit of the society in Texas ratepayers. Some of the benefits is you're seeing here. We provide this usage daily to the retail electric providers via a central repository. We already have programs for pay in advance. We're starting to see more time of use. If you refer back to telecommunications, sometimes to get things like automatic number identification, callback, automatic callback. It took years and years after being deregulated. Here you have advanced metering, and already some of these programs are starting to come around. We expect more of them to come, and clearly a customer and consumers have a choice. They can go with retail electric provider A, B, C, D, and so those retail electric providers are in competition for a commodity as common as electricity. We put in home area network devices. We don't have thousands in yet. We're still working through some of the details here, but we have a process, and we're continuing to certify different types of vendors' products to work with the meters using the Zigbee Smart Energy Plus profile. Settlement on actual data. I recently had a conversation with the CEO at ERCOT, and he said in a recent meeting convention that he went to of all of his peers around the country, they're just now talking about how and the format that they want data to come in if they decide to start working on settlement in detail of actual usage data instead of doing it on a customer profile. He was able to smile and politely say that ERCOT in the state of Texas is already settling 1 million residential meters at the actual usage based on 15-minute data, and is growing at a rate of about 100,000 to 150,000 a week that are settled on actual data. So that process is moving forward, and we expect more innovation and competition between retail electric providers to provide value-add services to our customers. The benefits CenterPoint Energy is all orders. I mean, we would have primary and first tier orders that we would certainly complete on a given requested day, like a move-in or reconnect, most times a move-out. But we would have disconnects and have thousands of those disconnects for non-pay, and we would get to them if we could, and if we didn't, we carried them over the next day. Now we're able to complete, if they have an advanced meter on them, we're able to complete them all between 8 and 9 a.m. in the morning. Clearly, we're not rolling trucks, we're not burning gas, we're not having accidents out there, and we're not intruding onto your property either for meter reading or to turn service on or off, check for other things, so we have less intrusion. And the automatic truck rolls, we're pleased to see that we're over 100,000 avoided truck rolls. We start trying to use the system within 24 hours after we've installed a new advanced meter connected into the, it registers into the network, and if we get a service order for that house, even though we're not using the reads yet for billing, we will use it to turn the meter on and off. The PUC had a method. They wrote the rules based on the Texas legislator. They formed these different committees that you see down the left-hand side here. We spent essentially all of 2008 up in Austin working in committees, laying out the requirements for how the Texas market was going to work.